Hey everyone, how we doing? It's your buddy Wade McElwain here, aka Quizmaster Corona. Are we surviving this lockdown? Have you found some sanity? Have you found happiness? Found happiness with your family? I'm sending you all the happiness I can think of. I'm sending you warm puppy kisses. You know, when puppies just gather and just lick your face. That's the kind of love I'm sending for you folks. I hope you're able to survive. I hope you're having fun. Look, I've been making quizzes for you every day, and I've enjoyed it, you know, giving you some knowledge, giving you little games to play. It's very fun for me. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to shake it up a bit. Not just a quiz. I thought I'm going to give you some fun facts. That's right, fun facts, fun facts, fun facts. I even made a theme song. Did you notice? So I'm going to give you a whole bunch of fun facts here. What you could do is try them out on your friends. Say, hey, did you know this? Or maybe they won't believe you on some of these facts. I'm going to give you some crazy factoids that you can stick back on your noggin and then you can tell some of your friends. For example, if you were to say to your friends or say to anyone, do you think you could fit all of the planets in the universe in our solar system, not in the universe, sorry, fit all the planets in our solar system between the Earth and the Moon? Would they fit? You go, no way, man. Have you seen the size of it? But actually, all of the planets in our solar system can fit between the Earth and the Moon. I know, that's right. So what we have is the Moon, between the Earth and the Moon, there's two different phases of it. There's apogee, where it is the furthest apart, and then perigee, where it's the closest together. So at its perigee, it's around 357,000 kilometers apart. At its apogee, it's around 406,000 kilometers apart. Now, if we take the average diameter of all of the planets, they were worked out to about 380,000 kilometers, which means at its apogee, you put it in between, all of the planets would fit between the Earth and the Moon. No one's ever going to do it, and the gravitational pull would be absolutely insane. But that's your first fun fact. That's your first fun fact. So there's a good fun fact for you. It's a very, very good fun fact. I'm going to give you another fun fact. Some of you will be like, you're born a butthole first. What? Yes, that's right. You're first born as a butthole. The first part of any human embryo to develop is the anus. Everything develops around the anus. So the anus is the first thing to develop in the embryo, which means you start out as a butthole. Or are you a butthole to begin with? There's a conundrum. Did the chicken cross the road, or were you a butthole first? Fun fact! Oh my God, are you having fun with these fun facts? Well, here's another fun fact. OMG. Do you know where OMG was first used and first published? Well, it was in a letter to Winston Churchill in 1917. That's right. It wasn't a Kardashian who invented it or someone from the 80s. OMG was first used and published in 1917 in a letter by Lord Jackie Fisher, talking about the World War I. Him and Churchill got along sort of at the time, but he talked about the potential of a knighthood and wrote in parentheses, OMG, oh my God. First time was ever used. And if you think LOL, the first time it was used, you know when LOL was used? 1960s, but it meant little old lady. Yeah, let's bring that one back. Fun fact. All right, another fun fact. Hey, do you know about Charles Darwin? Everyone talks about Darwin Awards, theory of evolution. You know, he's a naturalist. And he discovered all of these species. He discovered rheas, he discovered iguanas, he discovered pumas, he discovered sloths, he discovered a great tortoise. You want a fun fact about Charles Darwin? He ate every animal he discovered. That's right. He ate everything. All of them. He actually had a penchant for sloths and for tortoises. And they used to take the giant tortoises on with them and when they were on the discoveries, and they would eat them. And he ate everything. So when you're thinking about a guy being evolved, he ate everything he discovered. Fun fact. Here's another fun fact for you. Do you know manatees, the lovable sea cow found in Florida? Well, you know how they control their buoyancy? Farting. That's right. They fart and use the gas to propel themselves up or down, depending on how much gas they have in their system, by eating all the stuff at the bottom. They also, interesting enough, the manatee has a uniquely symbiotic relationship with the alligator. You'd think the alligators would want to kill these things. They're delicious, but they leave each other alone. In fact, they actually help each other and alert anyone else when there's danger around. So manatees, and maybe the alligator's like, yeah, dude, you know what? I don't want to eat you. You're just full of farts. Fun fact. Hey, another fun fact. It's a musical fun fact. You know the great song Under Pressure by Queen? Ding, 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 diddle, ding, ding. Under Pressure. Well, it was written in 24 hours. That's right. Queen, the band Queen, and David Bowie wrote the song in 24 hours. And what did they do to get them through it? Cocaine and wine. That's right. If you want a song about paranoia and being under pressure, you need a lot of cocaine and a lot of wine. And they wrote that song in 24 hours. Fun fact. Here's a great fun fact about sports. What do you know about Michael Phelps, the American phenom swimmer? Well, do you know that he's won more gold medals than 80% of the countries on the planet that exist or have existed in the Olympic Games? He has more medals than 66 countries on the planet. If he were actually a country himself, he would come in 39th in the world in terms of gold medals. That's how many he's actually won. Isn't that insane? He would be 39th in the world as a country based on the amount of gold medals that he's won. Talk about being a phenom. What a fun fact. Michael Phelps, you are a country. Speaking of health and fitness, here's a fun health and fitness fun fact. J.A. Rodale was a health and preventative disease expert. He was on the Dick Cavett Show in 1971. Now, Rodale was a bit of a weirdo. He started a magazine called Prevention Magazine. He talked about, he was very against milk and sugar in your diet. He was against vegetarianism. He was also a bit of a racist, too. He was also very anti-vax, but he was sort of seen as sort of a health knowledgeable expert back in the 70s when people still smoked and thought that that helped them as well. So he was on the Dick Cavett Show, and they were talking about health and fitness, and he proclaimed on the Dick Cavett Show, you know what? I'm going to live to 100, and then he died. That's right, he died on the Dick Cavett Show. And then his son ended up becoming like a very good bicycle athlete as well. But he died on the Dick Cavett Show. It was the first time. The show never aired. Dick Cavett only acknowledged it in some interviews. But a fun fact, when you're talking about health and you're going to live to 100 and then you die on TV, oh boy. And if you're a racist, you kind of deserve it. All right, here's another fun fact. How many times do you think you can get struck by lightning in your life? Once? Well, the odds of it are 1 in 13,000. If you get hit by it, it's around 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 5 times hotter than the sun. So you probably don't want to be able to do it. Now, most people do survive. Well, what do you think the record is? Well, a man in World War I set the record. He got struck by lightning 3 times while alive, once while dead. What the heck? Let me explain. Walter Summerford was in England. So he's in Belgium during World War I. He's riding on his horse. As he's riding in Belgium during battle, he gets fried, pops off his horse is dead, and he's paralyzed from the waist down. So he finishes with World War I. He thinks, you know what? I'm getting out of here. So he moves to Canada. He moves to Vancouver, Canada. Beautiful country, Vancouver. He's paralyzed from the waist down, by the way. So what he does is decides then is, I'm going to go fishing. So he's fishing under a tree. Unfortunately, he chooses the wrong tree in 1924, Vancouver. He gets hit by lightning once again. So he's already paralyzed from the waist down. Guess where he gets paralyzed next? His whole left side is now paralyzed. Waist down, paralyzed. But here's what happened. He regains. He starts regaining. He starts rehabbing himself. He starts working. And over the next few years, he's able to start walking again. He's able to start walking. Hit by lightning twice. And he's walking again, and he's feeling absolutely great. So guess what happens next? 1930, he's walking through a field in British Columbia. He gets hit again. This time, totally paralyzed. He is absolutely, totally paralyzed. And you gotta be going, come on, man, it's 3 times. Like, I was able to get my body back, and then you hit me 1 more time. So then what happens? He's dead. He dies 2 years later from that. Obviously from being hit by lightning and the complications and being totally paralyzed in the 1930s. So, guess what happens 6 years later? His tombstone, there's a lightning storm, hits his tombstone, cracks his tombstone open. Walter Summerford, hit by lightning 3 times alive, once by dead, and I'm sure the whole time just going, why me, man? Why me? Fun fact. Fun facts about psychopaths. Hey, we all love fun facts about psychopaths. So some psychologists decided they would study over 400 movies to determine who is the most true to a real psychopath. Who do you think it was of all the movie villains? Who do you think it was? Well, if you're a fan of No Country for Old Men, it's Anton Chigurh. That's right. Javier Bardem played him. Basically what they were saying is, in truly a psychopath, because he didn't identify when he killed people. He just didn't. It was just like his day-to-day. Just like a day-to-day job. Whereas a lot of other psychologists, the psychologists that other movies they had looked at, where there was serial killers, those ones don't really, the ones that they had, like, they were just too dramatic. And so he, because his ability to kill and not feel anything, made him the most likely and the most realistic psychopath of anyone, if that's what you're looking for. Surprisingly, not too many female psychopaths, but they did identify the top 2 female psychopaths. And it'd be surprised. The 2 top ones that they identified in female psychopaths. Number 1 was Annie from Misery, you know, taking the sledgehammer. Number 2, Rachel Phelps. You don't remember that name? Yeah, she was the owner of Major League. That's right. She comes in as a psychopath. Fun fact. Here's another fun fact. It's a fun fact about sports. Now, I love sports, and none of the sports are available to watch right now because of this virus. So a lot of times they have the draft, and the NFL draft is coming up. Now, in the 1974 NHL draft, that's hockey, the coach, Punch Imlach, very outgoing kind of personality, he was really getting tired of the way the draft system was working. This was all done by telephones. And he just thought, because they were trying to keep the WHA, the World Hockey Association, from trying to get into their draft, it just took too long. And he said, you know what? I'm going to make up a player. I'm going to make up a name, and that's what he did. In 1974, the Buffalo Sabres drafted in the 11th round, 183rd pick, Taro Tsujimoto. Now, Tsujimoto was like a tire store around the Buffalo area. And Punch Imlach was just, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm going to make up my own player. And the league fell for it. It wasn't until they actually got down to training camp that he realized, he just said, yeah, it's all a joke. We made the player up. So if you're ever looking for a little fun hockey fact, Taro Tsujimoto was made up because Punch Imlach was tired of the draft system. Oh, if that happened today, well, everyone would Google him and realize he didn't exist. But that's a fun fact. Here's a fun fact about invasive species. Now, everyone thinks that humans are probably the most invasive and worrisome, worst species ever, and we pretty much are. We destroy everything on the planet. But what do you think is actually one of the worst species, the most invasive species on the planet? Cats. Cats are now being banned in a lot of countries, places and cities in New Zealand and Australia because they have a devastating effect on our species. They kill, on average, 200, an average cat that goes outside will kill on average 200 animals per year. Now, they have now put 63 species on the edge of extinction. In the US, there are 86 million cats, and on average, they kill 4 billion birds around the world every year and 22 billion animals. And they kill, on average, 55 million birds in the UK every year. That's right, letting your cat out to roam. Now, think about it this way. Would you let your dog out all day? No. So why do you let your cat out all day? Think about the species, think about the birds, think about the animals. Your cat's a killer. When you hear the term Banana Republic, what do you think? Well, maybe you think it's a higher-end Gap clothing store that basically just sells Gap. You know, it's because it's like Old Navy, Gap, Banana Republic. It's sort of the tier. But where does the term Banana Republic come from? Well, you'd be surprised, actually, from banana companies overthrowing governments. That's right. In Honduras and Guatemala, in particular, they're the United Fruit Company, Dole Fruit Company as well, Chiquita Banana, all of those guys, they started buying a lot of land. And they didn't like the way that the local governments and the democratically elected leaders were saying, you know what, we don't want American companies coming here and taking over our land. So what do? Yeah, they stage a coup. Working with the CIA and the FBI, they would basically install governments that worked for them. And so a banana republic, essentially, when we talk about, is Guatemala and Honduras, because the banana companies overthrew democratically elected governments, funded them so they could get people in to help them sell their bananas and products and have a fair deal. That sounds fair, right? Yay! Go democracy. Fun fact. Fun fact about the Great Lakes. What do you know about the Great Lakes? Do you know that Lake Superior has more water than all the other Great Lakes combined? That's right, it's bigger than all of them. Fun fact, if you ever actually go into Lake Superior and go down about 10 meters, absolutely freezing. And if you were to like flood Lake Superior over the landmass size of North America and South America, it would cover both continents in a foot of water. That's how much water is in Lake Superior. Fun fact. All right, here's my last fun fact of this episode. And I really like this fact. I've told this to people before and they just don't believe me. Okay, so you know that humans are pretty much the #1 killer of moose, right? Or meese, if you say in pop. No, we don't call them meese. It's moose. Actually, the moose is the #1 killer in Canada. Actually, the #1 animal killer of animals, or animals that kills people because they fall in your car and crush them. But the fun moose fact I want to give you. So humans are #1 killers, but you know what the biggest killing animal that hunts the moose is? Killer whales. I know, you've blown your mind. Killer whales are actually the #1 killer of moose, predatory in the wild. Here's what happens. Killer whales have learned that moose between islands off the coast of Alaska and around Greenland, that they will swim in their herds. So what they do is they get their pod together and then they wait and then they hunt and they grab these fatty mooses as they're going through and gobble them up. Surprising, isn't it? It's absolutely, there is a very few footage to find on it. There's lots of articles that substantiate it. There's footage of someone throwing a stick in the water and his dog goes and gets it and the killer whale eats it. That's absolutely horrible. You're a horrible person if you like that kind of stuff. But what I'm saying is, moose get eaten by killer whales. And it always got me thinking, you know when you have a turducken, it's like, you know, a duck inside a chicken inside a turkey? What if you would eat a meal that was a moose inside of a killer whale? Ho, 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 how delicious and fatty would that be? And how much would it piss off pretty much every environmental and animal association? Those are fun facts. I'm Wade McElwain. Maybe I'll do more fun facts. Maybe if you want, or you want to send me a fun fact, send me a fun fact, and I will fun fact the fun fact out of you. Fun facts. Fun facts. Fun facts.